Good morning. Good morning. How are you? How are you feeling? Good morning. We have a travel ban. Yes, we want to talk about it. Where are you? Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments where you were, how you feeling, what you're doing. Good morning, Mike Jensen. How are you? Yeah, we want to talk about this travel ban. There's a travel ban going on, so we have to discuss. Uh, good. Nice to hear that. Putin care. Good morning from Connecticut. How are you? I've never been to Connecticut. How is it over there? How are you? Never been to Connecticut before. I've been to Boston before, but Connecticut, no. I have no idea how it looks. How are you? Yeah, we have this Trump administration came up with the travel ban. Remember they talked about it the beginning of Trump campaign. They said that they going to within 60 days they're going to come up with a travel ban, but it took them quite a few time because I guess they were trying to gather their information. I guess I don't know, but anyway, they came with a travel ban. So we want to know who's what countries listed and what exactly a person can do. Yeah, that's the topic. Okay, and we want to mention some frauds and something going on. Yeah, that's too is the topic. Um, Connecticut is good. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen it just like in pictures, but never been there. Yeah, I'm Maryland bound. I'm DC bound. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, we want to discuss that, and let me just share the screen so we will know at least what countries are on that list, travel ban list. Okay. But if you have a question, in the comment section, you can just put it in the comment section. Okay. Anything immigration related, you can just put it in the comment section. Yeah, it was yesterday. President Trump on Wednesday signed a proclamation barring travelers and immigrants from 1,000 countries and restricting the entry of nationals of another 7 nations, citing concern about national security. When it comes to national security, it's basically above anything. Yeah, that's why they can search a person without warrant if they have reasonable suspicion that the person is going to be a threat to national security. They will search the person, like his person, his belonging, his phone. Yeah. So at the airport, basically, that's why national security is just like, yeah. Anyway, Mr. Trump proclamation fully banned the entry of foreigners from Afghanistan. Total ban for Afghanistan, uh, Myanmar, Chad, the Republic of the Congo. I guess it's not the Congo where I came from, because mine is called the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So this one is Congo Brazzaville, I believe. Okay. Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. Yeah, total ban. How many countries? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, that's a total ban. With certain exception, Mr. Trump ordered banned citizens of those countries seeking to come to the U.S. permanently as legal immigrants, as well as temporary visa holders like tourists. Okay, so if you are coming as a legal immigrant, for example, you're coming because you won a lottery, the person's coming because somebody's petitioning for them, or they're coming because of temporary visas like tourists. Yeah, with certain exception to come to the US. But the people who, yeah, there's some exceptions. Usually when the exception is if you're married to a US citizen, you might be, because even for the first ban, if you're married to a US citizen, you still can count because you're coming as an immigrant, right? So those are the exceptions, basically. Trump, certain exceptions, Trump ordered ban citizens of those countries seeking to come to the U.S. permanently as legal immigrant, as well as temporary visa like tourists. There are some exceptions to this, okay? The president also partially suspended the entry of travelers and immigrants from, this is partially. Basically, there's restriction, like there's a suspension if you're coming from Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. Part of the proclamation applies to all prospective immigrants from this country with visa to settle in the U.S. permanently at certain temporary visa. Yeah, even if you're coming to basically come here permanently, there, yeah, the ban is set to effect on Monday, June 9. That's when it's become effective. Person can get now, right? Between now, if you get a visa, but are you going to get a visa between now and Monday? Today is already Friday. If you get a visa today, then you can travel tomorrow. But yeah, Mr. Trump said sweeping entry restrictions were necessary to address concerns related to terrorists in the country listed in the order. They have to properly vet those countries and stuff like that. Yeah, decrease contain certain exemptions, including U.S. Permanent resident, spouses. Well, yeah. So as I said, there's always exceptions. If you're married to a U.S. citizen or you are lawful permanent resident, you might still come, but you have to show clear and convincing evidence of identity and family relationship. So even with the first travel ban, there's always some exception because you can't ban if the person is a spouse of a U.S. citizen. Okay. Yeah, so what else? In the first month, they signed a travel ban restricting the entry of most citizens of Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen. They added Chad, Venezuela, North Korea. That was in March, in January 2017. In March 2017, they added Venezuela, North Korea, Chad. And then in 2020, they expanded to Nigeria, Eritrea, Sudan, Tanzania, Myanmar. And this one can't even say the name. Then the third version, third term ban was ultimately applied by the U.S. Supreme Court in the summer of 2018. Okay. So this is what's going on. There's a travel ban. But you know, with any travel ban, there's always some type of exceptions going on when it comes to yeah, there's always some type of exception going on. Okay. If a person's a spouse of a US citizen or lawful permanent resident children, stuff like that, those are those type of exceptions that somebody can show. FBI denied motion to reopen saying Swonted did not file timely. What else can you do? Swonted does not have to be filed timely. That's why it's called Swonted. Yeah, if they deny. What else are you gonna do? Basically, you go back to ICE and try to do the joint motion, because the joint motion is has no bar, has basically numerical bar, like you can try as many as you can with ICE, provided that they actually agree. So that's the only option you have. You go back to ICE and try to see if you can get ICE to join. Yeah, that's it. Try if you can get ICE to join. If ICE is not joining, you wait another administration, you try again. That's it. Because once it's untimely, basically when a person's been order removed and nothing has been done about it, it's pretty much like up to luck now. Okay. At that point, it's just up to luck. If you're lucky, like some people were lucky, we reopened their cases of 20 years ago, of 30 years ago when Biden was in power. We joined ICE and cases were reopened, and those people were able to adjust status. But under this current environment, to be honest, I don't know. But the person can always try. What else I wanted to talk about? I wanted to talk about TPS for Cameroon has been terminated. Okay, that we already know, but now it's official. What it says here. It's a DHS termination of designation of Cameroon for protected status. The Department of Homeland Security is terminating the designation of Cameroon. This termination, the Cameroon is set to expire on June 7, 2025, but this termination is effective August 4, 2025, after which national. Yeah, so basically you have 2 other months, right? July and August, 60 days to figure out. After that, it's over. Let me want me to share the screen for this one. Yeah, let me share the screen. Yeah, so DHS termination of the designation of Cameroon for temporary protected status. Okay, DHS is terminating the designation of Cameroon for temporary protected status, for TPS. So the designation of Cameroon is set to expire on June 7, which is 2 days from today's date, pretty much on Saturday, I believe. Yeah, on Saturday it's over, but the termination is going to be effective August 4. So yeah, people have between then 60 days to figure out their move. After which, national of Cameroon who have been granted TPS under Cameroon's designation will no longer have TPS. Okay. So what are you going to do? If you have a valid claim for asylum, you can file, but remember that they're calling those asylum cases like faster, within 2 weeks. Yeah, so gotta think about it. What I wanted to talk about here is this one. Overstayers. Now they're going hard on overstayer. This is what they're saying. Because of what happened, I guess, in Colorado, after authorities arrested 45 years old. This is what's going on, okay? CBP, which is, and ICE, like the Border Patrol, ICE, and DHS, and USCIS are ramping up the review of immigration record, will take immediately appropriate action to crack down on visa overstayer. Okay. This urgent crackdown comes after authorities arrested 40 years old Soliman for setting at least 8 Americans on fire in a shocking terrorist attack in Boulder, Colorado. This guy, Soliman, is an Egyptian national who has overstayed a visa in the US and remained in the country unlawfully since 2022. Now he's facing several hate crimes. Yeah. So, yeah, he's pretty much a terrorist, right? So, yeah, that makes sense. This one too, Colombian national charged with voter fraud, federal benefit fraud, and identity theft offenses. Yeah, this is in Boston. A Colombia woman unlawfully residing in Boston has been indicted by federal grand jury for identity theft. Any theft-related crime, remember, mandatory detention for that. Yeah, those are based on the Laken-Riley Act. Okay, already know that. Yeah. Okay. ICE is not responding. Don't even reply yes or no. Yeah, ICE is not gonna respond, especially now. They're not gonna respond. So the only thing you can do is just wait for like right now, joint motion, you know, they want to deport. Basically, they're not going to respond. So what are you gonna do? You just wait for another government, you know, another administration. Yeah. Sua sponte, I don't understand why they say sua sponte is not timely. Sua sponte is not supposed to be timely. Sua sponte is when you ask the court to just reopen your case on their own, like, will, if they want. But you have to be able to prove exceptional circumstances in order to win that motion to reopen. So most of the time, people don't have that because the standard is very high when you're filing after the deadlines. So most of the time, people don't have those exceptional circumstances. That has nothing to do like with financial hardship. It has to be like somebody's gonna die, basically, like somebody has cancer. So those are the type of exceptional circumstances that will warrant a reopening of an old case. So other than that, you try to join ICE and see if they're gonna agree. If they don't, you just wait for people. Just wait for another administration, new policies, and then try again. Okay. Yeah. Anybody else? Now we're taking questions. If you have a question, just please put in the comment. Please put in the comment. Don't be shy. We're here to answer questions. Okay. This is the only time like I talk to people for free. So we're here to answer questions. If you have your question, just put in the comment. I'm just trying to see what's going on. If we have another news, we pretty much don't have another news because we have the only thing that's going on is like deportation, basically arrest everywhere. Yeah, that's like the main thing going on. Other than that, I don't see. And this travel ban, this is a new breaking news. I, are you talking about Iran? Yeah, I see like the name was there too. Yeah. Yeah, travel ban. Oh, I see another breaking news here. Hold on. I don't know if it's this guy. Yeah, this is a good news. Let me share this one. Immediate relative. They say they have exceptions when it comes to immediate relatives, but the person has the burden to prove by clear and convincing evidence the type of relationship in question they're claiming. Yeah, immediate relative. It's always has been like that. If there's a travel ban, immediate relative like can still come. You know, but it's gonna be like harder in terms of if you don't have enough evidence. For example, for children, they're just gonna do the DNA. If they're not your children, then they're not gonna come unless you legally adopted them. You know, you can prove that too, that it was a valid adoption. Because sometimes people they just say my children, but they're not your children biologically. Um, yeah, we have a good news here. Let me share the screen here for this news. Um, I just saw this one. It says, okay, hold on. Why is still like this? Let me close here. Okay. Okay, the guy that deported Guatemalan immigrant returned to US after court orders. This is the guy that was deported, a Guatemalan migrant who was deported to Mexico was returned to the United States after a court order. The man identified as OCG was deported to Mexico after expressing fear of being sent back to his home country, though he also claimed he was in danger if sent to a U.S. southern neighbor. The Mexican government offered to deport him to Guatemala, which he accepted before being returned to the U.S. He said he was in danger because he's gay. Yeah, basically Judge Murphy of the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts ruled last week that the Department of Justice must facilitate OCJ's return. Like this case, a ruling the Trump administration is following. At least they follow this one. They returned the guy. But I don't know what happened to Garcia. Garcia is still there in Guatemala. OCG attorney Trina Wilmoto confirmed to Politico that he will be sent to Arizona immigration facility while awaiting trial. Last week, Murphy urged OCG's return as he was likely to succeed in showing that his removal lacked any semblance of due process. Wow, that's good news. At least at least they follow the court order. But I don't know what happened to Garcia. What happened to Garcia? I don't know. I never followed through with that. Is he back? Yeah. This is crazy. Yeah. Anyway, so we don't have questions. We seem to not have questions nowadays. Looks like people don't have questions anymore. People are sick and tired of this immigration drama. Um, yeah, people are really sick and tired of this immigration drama, I guess. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, so okay. So I think we don't have any other thing going on about immigration. We talked about the travel ban exceptions. We talked about TPS has been terminated for Cameroon, and we talked about those people being charged for fraud and um, those theft-related crimes, and now they're going up after overstayers because of the attack in Colorado. What else we talk about? This guy that was returned. Um, uh, yeah. So what else we have here? By the way, please like, please share. Since we don't have a lot to talk about, I'm gonna stop here and we can continue later. Okay.